Hi everyone, I'm Matt Mongiello. I'm your instructor for Political Science 1115, Intro to Minority Politics, also called Promises to Keep. We have a funny name and I think it'll make more sense as the semester goes along. So we are about 1 week out from the start of classes, and I wanted to reach out, say hi to everyone, give you guys a little bit of a preview of the class, and specifically talk to you a little bit about what it's going to mean to be a hybrid class this semester during the COVID pandemic. Short version, I think it's going to go very well, and we're going to be meeting both in person and doing a lot of work online, specifically on Blackboard, but also on some other platforms. So a lot of you already know me. I know a lot of you just from the roles. But for those of you who don't, I'm Matt Mongiello. I am a professor in the Department of Political Science and International Studies. I teach the courses on American politics and on political theory, and so that means I have the honor and responsibility of teaching minority politics, which is, of course, what we're doing here. Beyond that, I do the law classes, I do American political thought, I do all kinds of stuff, and so I may have had you, or maybe I'll have you in a class in the future. But right now, you are here for one of my favorite classes, and also one of the classes that challenges me the most. This is my 6th time teaching this class. I've never taught another class as many times as this one. And every time I teach it, I feel like I learn a lot. This is such a big and diverse set of topics, set of issues that can be approached from so many different angles. And so I feel like there is just always so much more to figure out. Every time I teach it, I figure out what I don't know as much as I learn something new. So this semester presumably will be no exception. And every year when I start this class, I tend to tell my class that this is an especially important year. This is an especially important time to be doing minority politics. And that's always true, right? I mean, it's almost a truism in American politics to say studying race and gender and sexuality and class, that's important to American politics. Of course, it's always important. The first year I taught this class was during the Standing Rock protests, the largest modern American Indian protests of this generation. So, wow, right? What a time to be studying minority politics. But it's like that every year in America, right? There's always something going on, be it the Freddie Gray killing in Baltimore that had such significant local impact, or Ferguson, or Charlottesville, or right? It's always something. DACA, the issues of DACA and immigration that have hung over this administration. There's always a big, important set of topics layered on top of the enduring importance of these issues for American politics. But this year, I think it's especially doubly super true that this is a central topic, the central topic that a lot of us are thinking about, that's on our minds. And that's, of course, because of the police killing of George Floyd and the protests against police violence, against racial injustice that have followed it during this summer. But it's also, and this is going to be a central topic to the course, it's because we are living through this COVID pandemic, and it's a pandemic that is having disproportionate effects on people of color in this country. And so it is both substantively extremely important for this class, but also I think is a good way to shine a light on some of the deeper issues that are always at issue in American politics. So we're going to be dealing with both of those things this year, and a lot of these are difficult topics, right? We're going to have a lot of difficult topics, difficult discussions, things that maybe make all of us a bit uncomfortable or a bit upset, angry, guilty. Just occasionally there will be a video or a story that is just really, really traumatic, right? It might be triggering for some people. We're going to be engaging in debates, in discussions with your fellow students, with me, and nerves can get raw, right? So entering into this class, I think it's important at the outset to say that one of the great things about studying these kinds of topics in college is not simply the depth at which you can explore and analyze and read and discuss and learn from each other, learn from the sources, but also the idea of doing all that in a space that is to some extent controlled, to some extent safe, where we have sort of a learning community where we can be respectful of each other, where we can understand both that topics and issues are going to be sensitive for some people, that people are going to bring different experiences into the class, and also that we're all going to make mistakes, right? We might use a term that someone else considers to be disrespectful. We might express a view that doesn't give proper respectful weight to the experiences of other people or the perspectives of other people, and that's gonna happen, right? And so a big part of this course is about adopting the mindset that we are going to try to be patient, going to try to be kind, going to try to learn from, correct, improve upon our understanding of these topics, right? And we in order to do that, we need to support each other and sort of be in this together. So, right, that's something I want to get out of the way right from the start. So with the topics that have been in the news, the topics that have been sort of dominating American politics for the last few months, they've had me spending a ton of time trying to think about this course, trying to read new things, trying to imagine it in different ways. And it's an endless process, and I consider it, as I said, a huge responsibility to do this class right. And the more I have read, the more I have thought over this summer, as I suggested before, the more I tend to think that my knowledge on the subject matter is incomplete. Too many things I haven't read, too many things I haven't studied, too many concepts that are new to me. And again, this is something that I've spent a lot of time studying. It's just the nature, I think, of a class like this. But also, something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about is how I teach this class as a straight, white, middle class man that right, who has primarily experiences of privilege in this country, and one thing that we'll get on is to have experiences of privilege and have a life where you are privileged in certain ways does not necessarily mean that you live a good, happy, easy, etc. life. It means something specific towards systemic obstacles, systemic forms of disadvantage. Right? We all face different forms of disadvantage in our life in various points. And we'll discuss that more as we go along. Always taking too long, almost 10 minutes in. We'll try to keep moving. So as someone who is considering both my limitations in terms of scholarly, academically, as a teacher, what I have read, what topics I have gone through the material and looked at the academic debates and feel super expert on, as well as my personal experiences and the perspectives that I come from in my lived experience as a person, as an American living in this country, incomplete on both regards. Now, we're all going to be incomplete in those areas. That's something that we'll, I think, come to appreciate in this class, that no person can grasp all of these issues on their own. That's why we need to do it together. And with that in mind, one of the things that I've been focusing more on in the way I design this class and the way I try to run it is putting you guys more front and center, in the sense that your interests, your experiences, your interpretations need to be a large part of this class, need to guide us and to sort of drive us forward in what we're talking about, how we're talking about, and sort of what understandings are brought into the discussions and brought into the framing of the class, right? You know, I am still the instructor, and so I'm going to scaffold this class up with a lot of things that I think are very important, but I'm relying on you guys to sort of carry the dialogue more than perhaps I have in the past, as you know, when we get up and have all in-person lectures and your professor just talks at you and maybe asks a question here or there. I want to break away from that. I want you guys more front and center in driving the dialogue, and I think that kind of more student-centered, collaborative approach is going to actually be facilitated, helped by this COVID disruption and by moving to this hybrid model. I think that it presents opportunities and sort of forces us as instructors to put more on you guys, and that might sound intimidating, but I think it's going to be excellent. I really am quite excited about this class. So hybrid design. This is really the punchline, and I'll type this out. You'll have read this in an email to me probably by the time you see this. But what is hybrid design going to mean for this class? As I envision it, because things could change as conditions on the ground and on campus shift, but as I envision hybrid design, I am going to break you guys up into two sections for for purposes of in-person meetings. There's going to be a section that meets on Monday and Wednesday, and there's going to be a section that meets on Tuesday and Thursday. And discussions may range and be different in those different sections during those days. But Monday and Tuesday will cover the same readings, the same questions, and the same thing with Wednesday, Thursday. So you know you won't be missing out by not coming to one of those classes. And when it's not your day, you'll be on the discussion boards. You'll be doing reflection journals. There's going to be a lot of reading, videos, video lectures. I'm going to reserve class time primarily for discussion, which again, you know, you guys are going to have to carry. When I have stuff to say to you that is not discussion based, that is just delivering information, I'm going to post videos like these through YouTube and post it onto our Blackboard site. Blackboard's going to carry most of the organization of this course. Then on Fridays, which I've left off, if you are a student who is not on campus, Friday is a day that I very, very, very much want you to try to attend class that day on Teams. It's going to be a virtual meeting. It's open to everyone in the class, but it's optional for everyone. For people who are not attending the in-person classes, I'm going to need you to show up, and we're going to talk about the same topics that we had been discussing during the class meetings Monday through Thursday. So that'll be a chance for you to really engage on a one-on-one level. If you have to take the class entirely asynchronously, if illness, whatever comes at us during this crazy time, prevents you from attending any of that, either your the Monday through Thursday or the Friday class, there will be opportunities to participate entirely through discussion boards and through that kind of asynchronous Blackboard-based material. So that's sort of the basic framework of the class. I'm thinking that I will break up the two sections just into, just alphabetically for the sake of making it easier for me to track attendance, or to just logistically to keep track of everyone. That said, if you have, either because you're doubling up on classes during the same time period, or you are, you have a job, or whatever it might be, if you have a real need to be either in Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, we can make it happen, right? So send me an email about that. We can get it switched up either before we start or into the second week. So that's going to be the basics there. In terms of content, right? So this is, in addition to having you guys do more of the discussion yourselves online, spend more time reflecting in journals, which puts you guys more in the center of things. I'm also splitting up the content of the course in a way that I don't normally. Usually, I split it into 3 sections, three books or something like that, 3 papers. Instead, what I'm doing this time is I'm splitting it into part 1 and part 2. And in part 1, I don't actually have the book in front of me, but we are going to be focusing in large part on the book Fatal Invention by Dorothy Roberts, which is, I don't have a couple of her books here. She is a great sociologist at the University of Pennsylvania. And we're going to be reading her book Fatal Invention on the relationship of science to race and racism. Really, all the books I read this summer, it really sort of knocked my socks off and was really impressive. I have a copy that's actually a hard copy that's coming in tomorrow. They just like this last week, printed a new batch, right? So it was out of print, but it is super relevant right now, both with our focus on race and racism, and on health disparities and the intersection of those two things. So it's out in a new printing, and if you guys want to get a digital copy, like I suggested in an email to some of you earlier, or if you want to get the hard copy, they may or may not have it stocked at the bookstore. It might be safer just to order it yourself. But we will be getting into that in, I believe, the second half of our first full week. So we're going to be starting on a Thursday. By Wednesday, Thursday of the next week, we'll be through part 1 of that book, the first 50 pages or so. So you'll want to get on that. The first half, the first 3 weeks, 3 full weeks of this course is going to, I'm not going to say primarily, but we're going to center it around this question of COVID, this questions of disparity, questions of race, and what that concept even means. And we're also going to deal with, I'm sorry, I've got all my books stacked up here, but we're going to deal with a number of other issues involving race, involving class, during that same period. And some of it's going to be around, you guys may have seen this book, Ibram X. Kendi, who just had a birthday yesterday, turned 38. I know that because yesterday was my birthday. I turned 39. But How to Be an Anti-Racist, and this this model of looking at race and looking at politics that is understood in this term. It's broad. We'll look specifically at his, but this idea of anti-racism as a different way of looking at civil rights and looking at fighting racism. We'll get into a little bit more of that, of what that is, but I'm going to copy the first few chapters. I think the first 4 chapters out of that, they're short, and we'll have a bunch of readings that are up on Blackboard. I'll get everything linked or up. Or copies put on Blackboard. But this idea of anti-racism as a perspective will be another major topic in the first half of the class. And you guys will write a paper that is primarily about the Roberts book and about COVID, but there will be a couple of questions or a couple of big topics that I'll let you either choose for, or you'll be welcome to come up with your own topic. Yeah, right. And so that will I think, it's COVID is the elephant in the room, and I think it's a good opportunity to sync that up with this class. While we're doing that, and while we're writing our papers, I'm not going to be writing a paper. While you're writing your papers, we'll also be discussing and picking topics for the second half of the class. The second half of the class, you will pick your own topic. And these can range far and wide. You'll see a bunch of different suggested broad topics that you can kind of explore, or you guys may already have your own interests. They can be variously narrow or broad, and you may not have any idea what you want to study at this time, but hopefully in the first 3 weeks or so you will figure that out and be able to find one main text that can serve as sort of the core of your exploration of that topic. So housing inequality, or educational inequality, or the dynamics of race and class, or American Indian politics, or something narrower like controversies over sports mascots, or right, there are a million things. We'll be covering a lot of them briefly in the first part of the class, and then also in the second part of the class, you'll still have readings that are that the class is doing together, that you're discussing in your journals and on the discussion boards. But during that time, you're also going to be reading another book. You're also going to be exploring another topic, and then you're at the end of the class, by the end of week 5, I believe it is, short classes, right? You will do a video book review of the book that you read, about a 10-minute book review, and that will be, that should be fun, right? I think that if everybody's exploring their own topics, we should have the opportunity to share those books and say, this is what it was about, this is what I thought was really interesting, this is how it connected to all our other topics, and we'll spend the last week of class sort of discussing these various presentations, and you'll also, at the end of the class, write another short paper on your topic that is not the same thing as your book review, but uses that book to answer a more specific question, the thing you were interested in. This might sound all very intimidating, but I think it's gonna work out very well. So we are 23 minutes in here, and I'm gonna stop and look out for emails from me. Look out for more videos like this. I will be. I'm just about done with the syllabus. I am trying to get this weekend I'll get the Blackboard site up. You guys will get access to that in a few days, and it will hopefully allow you guys to get situated, set up before the start of class. There are a couple of readings that and videos that I wanted you to take a look at before first class, including a short piece of President Obama talking about Hamilton, or if you guys are looking for something to do, I'd encourage you, if you have access, to give Hamilton on Disney Plus a watch. I think that's a fun way to sort of open up this discussion of America's history. But there will be a few other things about the George Floyd killing, and just how we want to some framing pieces for this class. So I will get that syllabus and those readings out to you very soon. I'm just trying to finalize everything. One of the real difficulties with this class, and I know I was going to stop, but I'm going to keep going. Right, that's my style. One of the real difficulties with this class is that there is so much to do, and for everything, every new thing you put in, you have to cut something out. For every new perspective, another perspective gets shortened or gets dropped. And so I also have to try to resist from giving you guys too much to do. And I'm trying to calibrate that. It's with the hybrid class, with the condensed semester, it can be hard to figure out what is reasonable to do for each class, for each week, things like that. So I'm trying to calibrate all that, trying to make sure that nothing, I I think is too important drops out, trying to make sure there's plenty of space for you guys to bring in articles that you're seeing in the New York Times, or videos that you watched, or stand-up comedy that raises an issue or a question that we want to discuss. I want to leave room for all of that kind of stuff. So give me the weekend, and I will have more for you. But I wanted to get out a welcome to you guys. I encourage you guys to get the book Fatal Invention by Dorothy Roberts. Yeah, that's about it. I'm looking forward to getting to work. It'll be great to see all of you either virtually or actually in the classroom. I went to our classroom yesterday in Levinson Hall, the music building. It is actually a very nice setup. We'll have some nice windows, plenty of room between chairs. So I hopefully we'll have a nice, safe, COVID semester. And I look forward to seeing you guys there either Thursday, Friday, or virtually. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.